Okay, so 10-minute runners stretches. Before I start my timer, I'm going to say to you, if you are training for long distances, if you're upping to sort of marathon distance training, the best thing that you can do after a long run, I always like to have a bath and a cup of tea, is to lay with your legs elevated. So legs up the wall or legs up over the edge of the sofa or something, just for 10 minutes, just to relax and kind of unwind the effort of being upright and using your legs so much. So that doesn't count in our 10 minutes though. So first thing I want you to do, starting standing for me, is hip width, change your teeth, feet about hip distance apart. Soften the knees a little bit, and then we're going to take a forward bend. So what I want you to do, if I come sideways, is knees nice and soft, nice big deep breath in, soften. So you can see softening the hamstrings, folding forward, and then just dangle here for a minute and take a little sway from side to side. So this is going to help, stretch out through the hamstrings, through the glutes. It's also, what you don't realise when you're running is how much effort you put into the upper body. So it's just going to help to relax the upper body a little bit and drain out a little bit of the effort. So you can do these ones on your doorstep while you're waiting to get back in the house. Gently roll yourself back up to standing. Now the other one, that's this super quick one that we're going to cover, and then I'll get into a little bit more of a flow, is crossing the feet over. So you're targeting into this hip area, and then you're going to lift the arm up and come into a little side bend. So you're lengthening all the way up through the hip, through the side of the waist, up under the armpit. It's a nice big stretchy side bend. From here, you could either come back up, cross the legs and do the other side, or you can softly soften the knees, soften the knees, soften the knees, come into that forward bend, so that really dangly forward bend. A little bit of balance required as well. Come up to standing, and then the same thing on the opposite side. So feet cross, arm comes up and over. So you're really kicking into the side of the waist, the side of the hip, and then maybe folding it back down. Okay. So those are a couple of stretches you can do. Also stretching out the calf. If you find a curb, putting your foot up on the curb, stretching out the calf. But that's not what we're going to work on today. They're just bonus stretches for you today. So come back into that forward bend for me. Softly bend the knees. Dangle yourself down. Head. Maybe feet are a little bit wider than hip width apart. From here, you're going to plant the hands down. So shoulder width apart. And then walk the feet back until you come to this downward facing dog. Now I want you to pay real attention about pushing your weight backwards into the legs. So you're going to slowly start to pedal the legs from side to side. So deep bend in one knee and a stretch out through the back of the other one. So you're going to feel that, hopefully, over the back of the calf on the straight leg, into the hamstring a little bit. And so you're just taking the pressure off and then stretching a little bit deeper into it. And then we're going to come down to the knee. So come down to this all fours position. And then from here, really simply using the breath, inhale, dip the belly, exhale, round the spine. So we start to find that little cat-cow movement, and that's going to help to bring a little bit of flow, a little bit of ease through the pelvis, through the spine, through the shoulders. It's also lengthening the hamstrings when you come into that cow position. And okay, back to neutral. So again, I'm whizzing through these quite quickly today because we're trying to get it done in 10 minutes. What we're going to do then, bring the weight over into one knee. Let the other leg just dangle. So I want you to imagine that that knee is just dangling beneath the hip, and then start to take little circles. So it's not requiring too much effort. You're just dangling the leg in the hip socket and letting it circle, almost like a little pendulum. Take it in both directions. And then stretching that leg straight out behind you. Tuck the toes and press right the way back into the heel. So again, that long stretch over the back of the calf. Maybe even a little bit into the hamstring. If you wanted to add on, if for any reason you wanted to add on a little bit of core work, you can start to think about hovering that supporting knee up and down. But quite frankly, after a long run, you definitely don't want to be doing any core work. Then we're going to slide this leg out to the side. So now we're thinking about what's going on the inside of the thigh and also a little bit on the outside. And we're going to rock gently backwards and forwards. Inhale, maybe pushing back. Exhale, rocking forward. So you're finding that nice gliding action. And although chances are you're feeling the stretch more on this extended leg, you're also working through the back of that bent knee as well. Okay, tiptoeing that foot all the way back up to the front of the leg. Now, we're going to try and get as many different muscles through the foot and the leg as we can in this lunge position. So, a little bit wider than hip width apart. The first one I want you to come to is the thing that you will often get told not to do in a yoga class, but it's essential. It's part of human body movement. I want your knee to come past your ankle. So much so, though, it feels as though your heel is just about to lift, but your heel is not going to lift off the mat. I don't want your heel to lift because what I'm trying to stretch here is the calf and the Achilles. And then we're going to gently just ease in and out of that. So it's quite an intense stretch, particularly, again, if you're running a lot and your calves are really feeling it. Stretching through the calf and the Achilles. What you could do as well is every time you go to climb up the stairs, maybe stand on that bottom step and just drop the heels back over the edge, really stretching out through that lower leg. Okay, from there, we're going to lift up and we might need to slide that front foot in a little bit. So I want you to come to this kind of 90-degree lunge. It's not stretching into that back hip flexor specifically. What you're going to do, actually, if I come to this one, you'll see it a little bit better, is from here, a tiny little scoop under of the pelvis, so deliberately scooping the pelvis under. So you're stretching the quad and the hip flexor on this supporting leg. Again, it's that thing that perhaps you used to hear yoga teachers cue, tuck your tailbone all the time, and now it's a cue that doesn't really get used so much. So it's that just gentle, it's a really subtle stretch, unless of course your quads are feeling super tight, in which case you'll feel it a little bit more. And then we can add on from here. Again, so if I turn around, you can see what I'm up to. We can add on from here, same hand as supporting knee, elbow comes out to the side, hand to the back of the head. You're going to draw that elbow up and back. So it's moving away, maybe even taking a little bend over to the side. And then what that is going to do is start to stretch up again through this ITB, through the outside of the quad, through the outside of the waist. Really big full body stretch. Take a breath. And then slowly bring the hands back down. So we've worked calf, we've worked quad, we've worked hip flexor, we've worked ITB, we've neglected the hamstrings a little bit. So I want you to pull your body weight back so that you're starting to straighten this leg out. You can rock up onto the heel here if you want to. Now hamstrings need a little bit of coaxing, nice and gentle with them. So inhale, maybe take a little rock forward. Exhale, gently rocking back. You can take your hands wherever it feels most comfortable. Maybe you like to have them both on the inside. Maybe you like one on either side. Back and forth, back and forth. And then coming back to neutral. We've got 2 minutes to get through everything on the opposite side. So hip dangle, those little circles first of all. We might run over slightly today. And then round in the opposite direction. Taking that leg straight out behind you. So again, thinking about the calf and the back of the heel here. Holding it for just a couple of breaths. Again, whizzing through it today, but you can hold these for as long as it feels good. I would recommend at least 5 breaths, ideally 10, maybe a little bit longer. Slide the foot out to the side and then that rocking back and forth. So if you think about the hip in its socket, we're just trying to move it through that full range of motion, using this sort of gliding and dynamic stretching to keep everything moving. Tiptoe that foot all the way up to the front. And then again, slide the foot in a little bit. So you're going to think about stretching the calf and the Achilles. So you're really pushing your weight forward. That knee is well over the ankle. But the heel, can you see, if I take it too far, my heel starts to lift. I don't actually want that. I want to keep the heel driving down. And then from here, lifting up into that kind of 90-degree lunge. scooping the tailbone under a little, so trying to find that stretch through the quad. Maybe, and you can play with this, so lean it back a little bit more if you want to find a little bit more length through the quad. Hand to the back of the head, elbow out wide. Inhale, opening up through the side of the body. Exhale, maybe bring it back. Again, 2 or 3, 5, 10, however many you need for it to feel really good. And you can hold these stretches still as well. Okay, coming back down, remembering that hamstring. So just gently rocking forward into a lunge. It's going to hit the hip flexors a little bit, and then rocking back into the hamstring, backwards and forwards. Okay, my timer has just gone, so I'm going to give you one last stretch. And you can do this one on the sofa. When you've done your run and you realise you haven't made time for your stretches afterwards, and you're sitting down at the end of the day and you're feeling all contented with yourself, I want you to think about this one stretch you can do. So you're sitting on the sofa, imagining that I'm sitting on the sofa. Legs are dangling over the side. You're going to grab one ankle and cross it up over the opposite knee. Now you've got a little bit of external rotation through the hip, so you're starting to stretch through the glute and the outside of this hip. And then all you can do, that might be enough. And whilst you're here, you can give your feet a little bit of attention, give them a bit of a rub, circle the ankle. You know, if the soles of the feet are feeling tight, maybe you can start to massage up the calf as well. And then to increase that stretch ever so slightly, all you need to do is apply a little bit of pressure to that knee and maybe start to lean forward. So again, if you were sitting on the sofa, I'm going to come into an imaginary sofa here, and you've got this leg crossed up over here. You press a little bit here. As you lean the chest forward, you're going to increase the stretch. You're also going to start to stretch that hamstring. And all you are doing is sitting on the sofa watching telly, stretching out after your run. Set a timer on your watch for 5 minutes, and then swap sides and hit the other side as well. Okay, we are going to close with a couple of rounds of breath. I've really whizzed through that for you today. So if you've got questions and you want more specific stretches, please let me know. But we are going to wrap it up with 3 rounds of breath together. So bring yourself to a comfortable seat wherever you are. Hands resting either on the lap or just down by your sides. Let the shoulders slide down away from the ears. Take a nice big deep breath in. And then sigh all the way out. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. And one more. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. Take a deep breath in, stretch the arms up above the head, blink the eyes open if they were closed, and you are all done for today.